Hey everyone, and welcome to another time lapse. I intended to get this video out sooner, but last week was just a mood entirely where every little thing made me want to rage quit, and I could not get myself to even sit down for a moment to work on editing. It ended off at least good with one of my Amazon orders finally arriving after a crazy delay. It was printable sticker paper, since when I finally managed to open an Etsy store a century from now, I want to have a diverse selection of merchandise. Anyway, enough ranting, back to what's on screen. I finally decided to tackle something I had not done before of that trending sort of level. Or, well, whenever it was trending. Grandma lives under a rock, so excuse my lateness. Now, I had already taken a jab at doing a final version of it, but it's also the same as the sketch. The problem with both is I felt that now maybe I could draw this character much better, especially the eyes. I feel like I screwed that portion up the most. Probably just lacking direction and exactly what style, and yeah. I remember I think I kept redoing them multiple times and just leaving it at that eventually. I start by inking with a brush liner. When it comes to cold press paper, using fine liners isn't so great. The tooth of the paper makes it hard to work with the pen nibs, and also I believe other artists have mentioned it sucks the pen dry. I was quite impressed with myself that I managed to keep to a very fine point and get those eyes right, as that it is the one thing that I screwed up the most the first time. Not to mention, I find acrylic ink most reliable on not bleeding on me for when I go in and paint over top of it, and drying really quick too as well. The topic is, as the title says, draw this again image. So this one isn't from that long ago, January 12th, 2022. Yeah, I date some stuff very accurately. And I actually drew it twice around that year. So this is essentially about a year or a year and a half difference. I decided to do this one in particular because as I was flipping through a finished sketchbook, I ran into it again, and I like the concept, but something about the execution right now I just wasn't satisfied with. It was based on this Pexels photo I once ran into, but I took my own spin on it, inserting my own original character, and I also realized I hadn't drawn this character in a while. And I still have this comic project I'm slowly chipping away at, but haven't drawn the characters in a while, including the main character here. Bit of a tangent, yep, but I guess I decided to kill two birds with one stone. And now for the coloring. I start with the skin, but shockingly not the face, even though it's where I always start. I felt like building more confidence with the tone. Lately I mixed yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and a bit of quin rose to make my skin tones, if anyone is interested in the exact mixes. With the first layer of the skin done, I moved on to the pants to avoid color bleeding to the shirt. I wanted a jean color, so I ended up mixing with cerulean blue and yellow ochre, which actually made a quite nice jean color. So then from the pants, I just move on to coloring the rest of it, not too much left from the shirt, and then moving on to the background. I don't know about anybody else, but filling out an entire background with one color with watercolor feels like the most stressful thing ever, just because you can either get it very uneven in not a nice way. You know, watercolor can kind of just like end up not doing exactly what you want, but I guess that's also the joy of watercolors. You kind of just have to learn to let go and accept them and let them do whatever they want. I think this time around it did turn out kind of like more of a cloudy sky background, which I kind of like. Looking at the final result, I'm happy. When I compare it to the old one, I can see quite an improvement for myself personally. No idea if that's visible to anyone else. I think that may be a very personal thing since we tend to be our biggest critics. And there isn't that much of a time gap, I suppose. Where I see improvements is in the face and just more confident with the lines. I drew the other one first with the tiniest fine liner I had, and very slowly. Hands for me, I know, hit or miss. Like in this new one, the one holding the cone, an improvement. But the leaning one, oof, maybe a bit of a disaster. I feel like there's maybe a 20% improvement on making the whole pose feel less. A note on color, I don't think there's any difference, or I could say an improvement in any way. I was just going for something slightly different just to not make it identical. Previously I had used Shinhan gouache versus now just using entirely watercolors. I think I do like the sky choice in the previous one though, so maybe I regret, but either way I'm still happy. So I was glad I tried this process out of draw this again. I would probably go for something way further back also, but I also figured that would be very obvious and leaps and bounds. I just wanted to give it a crack of something just a year and a half, because I did actually try really hard to improve all of my skills all around, from anatomy and drawing skills and inking and watercolor. So this did feel, I guess, good. Maybe not the best subject matter to be going for, but also I did mention that this character was one that I did want to draw again, and I like the way he looks now as opposed to the previous version. Thanks for watching!